Okay. Good afternoon, all of you. We are back with our health and nutrition chapter. So any doubts in the previous session? Whatever we had discussed? Everything is here, it's gone little beyond somewhere to some other world. Yeah? Little bit? Okay. See, whatever we have done, in that even if you can recall 30 to 40% also, it's fine. You need to know the basics, that's it. So as a mother, as a teacher, okay, as a friend, or as a caretaker, you need to know the basics of what is what. Okay? Okay. Now, this is the next chapter, which is called as balanced nutrition. I think it very much makes a point now. You all had your lunch. So we'll see how much of balanced nutrition you had. So once we complete this chapter. Yeah? Okay. Why is this nutrition very, very important? Nutrition क्यों चाहिए? Yes, it's very essential for the healthy growth of the mind as well as the body. This we have been discussing in the previous sessions also. Okay? Nutrition plays a very, very vital role in the overall development of a child. And it should always be a balanced nutrition. If it is not balanced nutrition, you can see all, as many of us have gone out of shape, including me. So we are not having that balanced nutrition. Yeah? So we try to overeat something, we try to undereat some nutritious food. So we should always have a balanced diet framed even in the daily routine also. Not only for the preschool, here we are going to concentrate more on the preschool child, but as a person also you need to always have a balanced diet. That's very much like what you call, even though your mind says that you should have, but your tongue says no. Yeah, it so happens. When you find the food which you very much like, which is junk food, you always tend to eat. It happens to everyone. Okay. It's permissible to some limit, but along with that you need to add up with the physical activity, that's the exercise, okay, and some diet modifications as and when required. If you're not putting on weight, if your cholesterol levels is fine, it's fine. Eat. Until unless you can eat it nicely, till the age, if your age permits, and if your normal parameters permits, it's fine. Yeah? Okay, I can give you that leniency that you can have some good food. Okay, because this is the age where you can eat. Later, anyway, you're going to face some problems, so don't worry about all those things. Now you have nice food. Okay, now coming to this balanced nutrition. What they have seen is children of all socio-economic class. Let it be an upper class, let it be an middle class, let it be a low middle class, or under, the poor people. So in all these socio-economic levels, they are at risk of poor nutrition. Why is it so? It's obvious, those who are very poor, they can't afford that balanced nutrition part, right? Okay, so they are at lack of nutrition, which can cause a lot of serious health problems. So when it comes to the higher economic levels, those who are very rich, their children are also at the risk of poor nutrition. Why? Overeating. They have all the facilities, they have the extra lot of money, so where they can invest in a lot of extra cheese and extra pizza, and they have that, what is that, some Domino's, I think it comes now. That, what is it? Some pizza burst, peace burst, what is it? I don't know. Yeah. So that all is going to add up to the health. It's going to cause a toll to the health of the child or whoever is eating it. Okay. So those people also, middle class people, they are not even to that level, they are not even to this level. Yeah? They can afford to some extent, but they cannot afford to a lot of extent. So it's like that. So even these people are at risk of poor nutrition. Yeah? And the major portion here, the major part here when it comes to the society, especially the mother and the child, they are at risk of poor nutrition. Why? The mother, usually it's a trend in the Indian community, mother eats last after everybody has the food at home. right? If you have your in-laws, if you have your husband or whoever it is, after everybody's food, mother will have bacha kucha jo bhi ho, kha leta hai. Yes? If it is not there also sufficient, who will prepare again? Okay, chalo have whatever it is there. So, they are at risk of poor nutrition along with children. Children nowadays, they are very choosy. They don't like food, whatever you prepare, even if you prepare very nice food also, they are not willing to have that food. Especially my child also. If he goes out, he can eat any number of items, whatever is there. Even if it is spicy, he'll have. But if you put a little bit more spicy in at home, they'll not touch. Because so, children, they are choosy to eat. That's why they are also at risk of poor nutrition. There are very few children who love eating. I mean, good food. Good food in the sense, the nutritious food. Healthy food. Okay? So these two are the main vulnerable group, especially when the mother is pregnant. Okay? If she is not having a proper balanced diet, that can cause health, the development can be delayed or development can be altered. Low birth weight babies are more common if they are not having proper food. Okay? Then, inadequate weight gain during pregnancy can increase the risk of having low birth weight. That's why there is a fixed parameter. Every week, every month in the pregnancy, she should at least put on 2 kgs of weight monthly. Okay? If she is not putting on weight, that means she is not taking adequate food. So if she is not putting on weight, the baby's growth will be hampered. Okay? So that is very, very important. And around 50% of all death occurring among children during the first 5 years is because of this malnourishment or malnutrition. They are not taking proper food apart from the health aspects. Okay? Then they have also seen that the mortality rates in mother and child are high in the developing countries and underdeveloped so is yes. Okay? And this can be prevented by giving them proper counseling, by giving them proper nutrition. So that's why government has put forth a lot of schemes where women and child are taken care of. They are treated as a vulnerable group, and usually when you go to the government hospitals, they give them free food also. Okay, that's there in throughout the world. In Western countries, in developed countries, they give very good nutritious food, but in developing country like India, the scheme is there, but I don't know how much of them get benefited out of it. Okay. Then the special supplemental food program for women, infant and children, that is called as the WIC. It provides food and nutrition to education to pregnant and lactating low income women. Along with the nutrition, they also counsel them. Okay, they also give them, impart them the proper knowledge, what has to be taken, when, with what proportion. Okay, so that we'll discuss later now in this chapter. And a 5-year national evaluation of this program found that young children whose mother had participated in this WIC program, they were found to be not less affected with the health complications, and even the child's growth and development was very much normal. Okay. Next, coming to the nutrition for a preschool child. So as you all know, there is a very strong connection between the nutrition and the child's ability to learn. This we have discussed even in learning disability also. Yeah, healthy diet plays a very important role in managing the learning disability problems. You remember? Yeah? Okay. So, and what is this nutrition basically? This is a scientific definition of nutrition. What is this? This is the science of food and its relationship to health. What do you mean by science of food? Science of food. Science मतलब क्या? What do you mean by science of food? Yeah.
Contents of a vitamin, mineral,
Yes.
protein, carbohydrate, calcium.
It's the overall, like let it be the macronutrients or the micronutrients which is there in the right proportion or not. That is called as the science of food. Scientifically, when you are framing a diet. Clear? Okay. Keeping all these macronutrients and micronutrients in mind, you are going to frame a diet. This is the job of a nutritionist. Even a home science graduate also will have a proper knowledge of this balanced diet and all. So, but when you go to the hospitals, you will have a specific nutritionist who comes and who checks what should be the diet of that patient. Yeah, according to their health, they frame the diet of the patient. So, this is the science of food and its relationship to health. For him, what should be the proper amount of nutrition which has to be supplied to the body. So, for example, if there is a diabetic patient, she can't frame the same diet for a diabetic patient and a normal person who is not a diabetic patient, but he has some other problem, but he is not a diabetic. She can't give the same diet here. Got it? So, diet varies according to the health aspects. Clear? Okay. It is concerned primarily with the part played by nutrients in the body's growth, development and maintenance. Okay? This, all these we keep in mind. The body's growth, body's development and maintenance. And it's obvious key in the growing years, in the early 5 years of age, nutrition is a must and children should be fed with more nutritive items. Whatever diet we have, it should be even more than that what a normal adult consumes. We'll check that later in this chapter now. And what does a good nutrition means? It's maintaining a nutritional status that enables us to grow well and enjoy good health. Yeah? So that is, so now we have spoken about the nutrition. Coming to what is malnutrition. What is malnutrition? Mal matlab there is some lack, some differences, something which is missing, which is lacking. Okay, that is malnutrition. What is malnutrition? This is due to an relative or absolute deficiency of one or more essential nutrients. There could be an relative or an absolute deficiency. Relative matlab it is present but it is not present up to the mark or the quantity which has to be there. Total absence matlab that nutrient is not at all present. Okay, it can be because of either of this reason, malnutrition. And malnutrition, they say like it's like an iceberg. मतलब ऊपर से जो दिखता है, it's not the one which is present inside the body. Yeah, the symptoms what a malnutrition shows, it is not exactly what is happening in the body. In the body, within the body, it could be very much worse. Got it? That's why they call it as a tip of an iceberg. Yeah? Iceberg में क्या होता है? ऊपर एकदम छोटा सा portion दिखता है, but नीचे it will be a huge one. Is the same. Okay, and children are more susceptible for this malnutrition, especially under the 5 years of age. Fine. So now we'll just discuss some of the problems. What happens if the child is malnourished? What happens? Children are more susceptible to infection, recovery is slower and mortality is higher. Yes, it's very much obvious, right? They are more susceptible to infection until and unless they get good food. Because as though their immunity level is down. If they are not boosting up their immunity with proper nutritive food, they are more susceptible to infection. They should always have food rich with vitamin C, lot of vitamins and minerals, yeah, to boost up their immunity. Yeah, okay. Then undernourished children do not grow to their potential of physical and mental abilities. Their growth is stunted, both physically also as well as mentally also. Some children end up as slow learners if they do not have proper nutrition. So for anything to work in the body, you know, the basic thing in our body is a cell, right? Okay. This cell to function normally, it requires the energy. Energy and the nutrition. Where it comes from? It comes from whatever we eat, because body cannot generate the energy. It can generate only to maybe some 5 to 10% of it. That's it. But rest of the 95 to 90% has to come from outside source. So if we are not giving proper input, the cells are not going to function normally. Yeah? Let it be the brain cell, let it be the kidney cell, let it be the heart cell, let it be the lung cell, everything, each and every organ in our body needs that energy. Got it? Yeah. Then malnutrition in infancy and childhood leads to stunted growth. So there, when you check this growth chart, okay, their height and weight may be under normal. That line, the reference line, it will be lower than the reference line. And malnutrition is manifested by clinical signs of micronutrient and vitamin deficiency. In the worst cases, malnutrition is shown as a part of deficiencies, symptoms of deficiencies. This I haven't covered much. This will come in the later chapters, which I am going to cover. They show the symptoms of it. For example, if the vitamin A is less, they show with night blindness. We had discussed this in the eye problems also. If vitamin D is less, they show with rickets or bone problems. So this starts showing. Once it shows the symptoms of deficiency, that means that nutrients is totally very much required for the body. We are not giving the proper supply to the body. Clear? Okay. So, and this malnutrition, for the reference, for the study purpose, they have categorized into these different forms. Okay. The first one is called the undernutrition. Undernutrition matlab, this condition results from insufficient food eaten for an extended period of time. In extreme cases, it is called as starvation. There are so many sadhu sons and all, they say that I am going for fasting. So earlier even Anna Hazare sir used to do that. So that's this form of protesting against something. But here, if the person is not eating food for a specific period of time, for a longer time, then it can cause malnourishment. That is called as undernutrition, because you are not supplying it. The body is utilizing its own resources. How long can a person stay without having food? How many days he can survive without having food? It depends on how he has maintained his body also. Depends on that, depends on how good nutritious food he had for all those days. Okay? So usually they say that a person can stay without having food for 2 to 7 days. It depends again. Some people, if they are already malnourished, they can't survive for more than 2 days. What happens is, if you're not giving the food, if you're not eating the food, your cells start eating up themselves. Okay? It takes energy from the different sources of the body, whichever is available. For example, fat. Fat is a very good source of energy. Okay? So those who are fat, they can survive for a little longer, because fat depots have enough of fat, so it can be utilized whenever it's required. Okay? If the body is not getting its immediate energy, which is a carbohydrate, because immediately what we utilize is a carbohydrate source. Okay? Even in running, some people they say I'm exercising, I'm running for almost half an hour, but even then I'm not reducing my weight. Yeah? So running, brisk walking, even for an hour or half an hour, utilizes only your carbohydrate sources. It does not utilize your fat sources. The fat burns very much later. So that's why they say you have to do sustainably for a longer period of time. So it should not be like I've started 1 month, I'm not reducing my weight, okay, chalo, forget it, I'm not doing it now. Okay? Your fat burns in the end. Yeah. So these people, what happens, the fat starts burning and the fat depots, once it gets exhausted, the cell will not have anything to take up the energy from. That's why they go into complications. Okay, that's one. Another is overnutrition. Here, this is a pathological state resulting from the consumption of excess quantity of food over an extended period of time. And the high incidence here, the people are more prone to obesity, atheroma, and diabetes is attributed to this overnutrition. What happens? Vomiting. This so happens in children, especially nowadays. They start watching TV, having all those chips and all those popcorn and all those whatever it is, their junk food, and they keep on eating. They'll not realize how much they have finished. Yeah? So that is overnutrition. You are overburdening your body. Okay? So that is overnutrition. This can lead to obesity because of high fat deposition. Atheroma. Atheroma matlab, this is the extra cholesterol, the bad cholesterol which get deposited in the blood vessels. So that can lead to heart attack or stroke, anything, wherever it is going and blocking the vessel. It can cause all those health hazards. Okay, that is overnutrition. One is undernutrition, the other is overnutrition. The next one is imbalance. Here, this is also a pathological state resulting from a disproportion among essential nutrients with or without absolute deficiency of any nutrient. There is an imbalance here. Okay, you are eating, but it is not suiting you. You are not properly balanced it. So you have had more of fat food at one stage, and you have compromised with the one which is rich in fiber. So here there is a total imbalance of the food what you are choosing to eat. Then specific deficiency. This results from an absolute or relative lack of an individual nutrient. For example, we'll take off vitamin A. There is a total lack of that vitamin, so that's why the child has ended up with night blindness, and which can lead to total blindness. Totally this nutrient part is absent. So that is specific deficiency related to any one nutrient. Okay, got it? These are all the different forms of malnutrition. So how do you manage this malnutrition? So this is the main thing in our chapter. You need to always frame and have a balanced diet. That's one. And you have to give a proper knowledge to the mother and the caretaker. When it comes to the child, usually it so happens now it's all working mothers. They'll not have that enough of time to take care of the child. So there will be some caretaker at home, either grandparents or ayah or in the daycare, whoever it is. So they should have a proper balanced diet chart. Some schools give that provision now. They give food at the school, in the school itself. Yeah, they give food in the school itself. So if not, the mother or the caretaker has to be given proper knowledge, like what has to be fed to the child. Usually what they do is they give a handout nowadays. The child, you see to that in a day the child eats at least all these food items. It's compulsory in the Western community. They always give it, monthly wise they give it. You can include that in your curriculum also, the balanced diet, where you can prepare a chart which the child has to eat, take on a regular diet. Okay. Now coming to the scientific definition of balanced diet. What is this balanced diet? A balanced diet is defined as one which contains a variety of food in such quantities and proportions that the need for energy, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, fats, carbohydrates and other nutrients is adequately met for maintaining health, vitality and general well-being, and also makes a small provision for extra nutrients to withstand short duration of leanness. A long definition, right? But this has everything in it. Okay? A balanced diet, as you all know, nature, God has given us lots of foods to eat around. Fruits, vegetables, animal foods. Yeah? Okay? So, He has given it in such a way that He has made man, and He told no, he should not eat the same food, otherwise they will also get bored. So that's why He has created vegetables, He has created fruits, okay? And He has created a lot of things to eat. Balanced diet also, it has lots of food items from different groups. Because one food cannot satisfy the needs, all the needs of a person. Because human body is made up of what? Cells, yes. Okay. For a normal functioning of human body, we require carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins, minerals. Yeah? And there are lots of other trace elements which are required. But for the normal vitality, normal functioning, we require all these in greater proportion. And lots of food, one single food will not give you all this. So what you have to do? You have to give a mix-up of a lot of different items, which is colorful also, which child will enjoy also, even as a person. You'll also get bored. Daily if you are preparing upma, daily upma, who will eat? Yeah, daily chapati, who will eat? So we require some varieties. So God has prepared that. So that's why He has given some nutrients rich in some of the food and the others rich in fat, so that we can utilize all those. Okay, now coming to this. So how we are going to frame this is, you have to go to keep in mind about the requirements of the fats, carbohydrates. This is not your job. Okay, there will be a nutritionist who is going to check for which age group what, according to the weight, according to the height. In general, you can just frame this. Clear? So what you need to know is, you need to keep all this in mind and frame the diet. And this balanced diet should be framed in such a way that even though if you're not getting food for some days, as I told, maybe a day or two, you should be able to withstand that. Yeah? So you should be able to withstand it. You should be able to come out of it. So one day fasting, nobody is going to die. Hello? So many of them, we just celebrated Vaikuntha Ekadashi, you told I didn't eat. I ate only one time in a day. 2 or 3 days also nobody is going to die. So that, how is it possible? The body has given it because you have had enough earlier. Clear? Okay. So a balanced diet can become an accepted means to safeguard population from nutritional deficiency. This is the only one which is going to manage the malnutrition. Clear? Okay. Now, we'll discuss some of the principles in constructing a balanced diet. So what are the principles? Before you construct a balanced diet, you have to keep all these in your mind. What are those? A balanced diet for children is required to supply the nutrients and energy needed for the growing child. All the nutrition, all the energy which is required for the growing child has to be present in that balanced diet. Okay? That's one. Then, meet the dietary demand of growing children with a well-planned diet. Pattern of increase varies for different nutrients in relation to their role in growth of specific tissue. Like if you are introducing some new nutrient, so the pattern of increasing that nutrient depends on how the child is responding to that growth, how the child is responding to that nutrition. Then the dietary pattern varies widely in different parts of the world depending on the food produced, and the climatic conditions of the region, economic capacity, religion, customs, taboos, tastes and habits of people. You can't frame, or if the person is a pure vegetarian, you can't frame the diet which has non-vegetarian source. Right? Okay. And in some ethnicity or some religion, they don't eat some of the food. They ban some of the food. So you got to keep that also in mind and frame the diet. You know, giving it to the child also. Because you take the history. Yeah? In the application form, caste, religion, which food you prefer, whether you're allergic to any food, in all the application forms that will be present nowadays. Have you noticed it? Yeah? Okay. That is because you can advise them. Okay, next. You want to keep this also in mind, which is the calorie requirement. So, what do you mean by a calorie? Calories burnt, we say. If you exercise, you say, I have burned this much of calories. Yes, in other words, is the energy burnt. How much you are burning, how much it's going. That's an exothermic reaction. Okay? That's an exothermic reaction. That means it's getting broken into components. Yeah? Because when it comes to the metabolism, you know about metabolism, right? So, it depends on the basal metabolic rate. You have an endothermic reaction, you have an exothermic reaction. Both are important. Endothermic reaction are important when you are building up the energy. When you are eating some food, let us take as a glucose itself. Yeah, because all your energizing muscles need glucose, which gets converted into glycogen and gets stored in your muscle. Yeah, that is endothermic reaction. Here it is building up. Yeah. Then when it comes to exothermic reaction, when you are utilizing that muscle for some activity, whatever glycogen has stored here, that has been utilized. That's an exothermic reaction. So that gives out, burns out some calories. Got it? So that's the exothermic reaction. Clear? Okay. You should always maintain that endothermic as well as exothermic. Okay? If you are not giving any input, but you are just keeping on burning your fat, that's also harmful. Have you heard many a times people collapsing in the exercising floor? They die? Yeah? Many cases happen because they don't balance this activity. Got it? They put more strain in the verge to lose the weight. Ultimately, they are losing their life. So you should always have a balance in this. Got it? Okay. So children under 5 years of age should not be given skimmed milk to restrict on fat and cholesterol. Some amount of fat and cholesterol is permissible for children within 5 years of age until and unless they are already obese. If they are obese, no need to give the fat-rich milk. If they are not obese, you can give them. And you can always add 1 teaspoon of sugar, ghee also. Okay, whenever you are feeding the child, give extra amount of ghee, extra cheese, permissible for children, not for adults. Yeah? Okay, because they need that extra energy, extra source, because they are always on the move. Yeah? Okay. Then whole grains or enriched cereals increase the calories. Concentrated sweets and food that are very high in fat should be avoided. Sweets can be given if the child likes, no problem, but it should not be overeaten. Anything should not be done overly, right? Okay. Here they have just given a chart how much you are going to get. Like carbohydrate provides around 4 calories per gram. Like 1 gram of carbohydrate will yield at least 4 calories of energy. Okay. Then protein provides again 4 and fat provides 9 calories per gram. So that's why fat depots, the fat sources, it takes a little longer time also, and fat can sustain for a long time. Okay, for example, in sprint running, immediately when the person runs, it's a 100-meter race, only his carbohydrate source is utilized. So they drink more of glucose, more of liquids. Have you seen? They drink a lot of glucose-rich food. When it comes to the marathon, along with this, they even have that fat depots. Earlier, before the marathon, they have the food rich in fat, so that it gives them that sustainability to run. They can't run after say some half kilometer. They can't run because the carbohydrate sources are stopped. Then comes the fat that gives the energy. Got it? Then protein requirement. As you all know, protein is known as the building blocks of the body. Yeah, it's like giving foundation to anything. Any of the structure, whatever you take in the body, almost 80% of our bodily structures are made up of proteins. Let it be the cell, let it be the basement membrane in the cell, let it be any organs. Wherever you take, even your hair, even your nail, even your skin, everywhere you find this proteins. Okay, and protein is very, very essential nutrient, and it's a macronutrient. What they say is, after water, this is the major macronutrient which is present in the body, which is required by the body. Okay, and protein usually it's more rich in the animal source foods when compared to the vegetable source. So almost 80% is from the animal source. So non-vegetarians, if they are eating lots of non-vegetarian food, they have usually there will be no lack of protein in them, because they get it in abundance. But when it comes to the vegetarians, they should have lots of beans and dal also, and usually from the milk source. So they get protein from that source. Okay. Then carbohydrate requirement. Carbohydrate is almost present in all the food. Okay. And this is very rich in natural fiber and constitute the major portion of the diet to provide energy required. So whatever diet we consume, almost all the food will have carbohydrates. Let it be rice, any part of India, wherever you go, usually what they say, there will be no deficiency symptoms of carbohydrate, because one way or the other we consume it. Okay? And the role of carbohydrate in the body includes providing energy for the working muscles, providing fuel for the central nervous system, enabling the fat metabolism, preventing protein from being used as energy. Carbohydrate is the preferred source of energy or fuel for muscle contraction and biologic work. So I have almost discussed this, I am not going to repeat it again, because this is the first source of energy, carbohydrates. Okay? And this also enhances the fat metabolism, and it prevents the protein from getting metabolized, because protein is required for the other processes in the body. Protein should not be utilized for this energy purpose. Okay. And you know how many proteins are there? I mean, two main types. Any idea? Proteins are made up of what? Amino acids, right? In that you have two types, which is essential and non-essential amino acids. So you have around 22 amino acids like this. In that 8 are essential and the others are non-essential. So essential matlab it is not produced in the body, so we have to consume it. So that's how vegetarians are little lucky, because some proteins are produced by the body itself. That's why it is non-essential amino acids. So these amino acids itself later club into getting to get converted into proteins. Okay. Now next, vitamin and mineral requirement. Vitamins, as the name suggests, vitamins. It is required for the vital functions of the body. Even though it is required in small quantities, but it is very much necessary for the normal function of the body, vitamins and minerals. So calcium and iron requirements are relatively greater during the early childhood, and deficiency of this can cause deficient bone growth in the children, and can cause a lot of other things which we are going to discuss in the vitamin chapter. That is the next chapter. It is there in elaboration over there. So I'm not going to discuss it now here again. So, and food rich in calcium such as milk and products, ragi, green leaf vegetable and fish should be included in the diet of the children. So those who eat non-vegetarian, you can always include fish, which is good, rich in minerals and vitamins. Okay. And then fat requirement. So although fats have received a bad reputation for causing weight gain, so some fat is essential for survival for the following reasons. What are those? Normal growth and development, then energy. As I have told you, after the carbohydrate, fat is the immediate source of energy. Then absorbing certain vitamins like A, D, E and K. So if the fat sources are not available in the body, this vitamin A, D, E and K cannot be get absorbed in the body, because especially these vitamins are fat soluble vitamins. If there are no fat in the body, this vitamin, even though you are eating, even though you are taking food rich in vitamin A, D, E and K, it is not going to get metabolized in the body because fat source is not available. Got it? Okay. Then providing cushioning for the organs. This is very much important. Lot of major organs in the body, almost all the major organs, that you take heart or even the brain or even the kidney or even the liver, everything, all the organs have some cushioned fat. Okay, they have fat underneath just to give that cushioning effect. Okay, so and that for that also you need to eat some fat. You can't deny eating fat. Okay, then maintaining cell membranes, because the cell membrane is made up of a phospholipid. That's also a fat. So if it is not made by that phospholipid, what happens? The cell becomes weak. It can break very easily. Clear? The membrane can break and all the contents can come out. So that's why in the framing the cell membrane you require this fat. Then providing taste, consistency and stability to food. So without oil, without ghee, you won't get the taste in the food. Yeah, and consistency and stability to food, you have to use some fat. Yeah, so you can have, no problem, but in small quantities. Okay, see, this is a balanced diet formulated by the Indian Council for Medical Research. This is for the children, what I have taken, ICMR. So Indian Council for Medical Research, this is a valid body. So they have given this quantities. So what are the food items which you can choose? What is the in what quantity you can use? All these are given in grams. So for children between 1 to 3 years, 4 to 6 years, 10 to 12 years, and 10 to 12 years, boys and girls again. So boys, the quantity will be a little more as compared to the girls. Okay. Children 1 to 3 years, cereals 175 gram. When it comes to 4 to 6 years, 270. When it comes to 10 to 12 years, 420, and for girls it's 380. Okay. So after the 6 years, you can see even for 10 to 12 years of children, it's not proportionately the same. It's not increased. Yeah. So around 420 grams you're going to give them. Then pulses 35 grams, and for 4 to 6 years again 35 grams. When it's a nutritionist, no, when she frames a balanced diet, they'll frame it according to the grams itself. They're going to weigh each and every cereals, every pulses. Okay, they're going to weigh and frame it accordingly. And this many grams of thing, which is present in which food, which cereal you can use, that we'll see in the balanced diet pyramid now. Then leafy vegetables, other vegetables, roots and tubers, milk, oil and fat, and sugar and jaggery. So these are all the proportions. It's there in your book also. You can just refer it. Yeah?
This is for daily basis.
Daily. This is for daily basis. Daily they should have at least this much. Clear? Okay. Children who lack essential vitamins, minerals and essential fatty acids have shown to perform worse academically at school and are seen to be more aggressive in their outward behavior. So those who lack nutrition, they are seen to perform less academically. They are not that bright. Okay? And they are also seen that they are more aggressive and they are more impulsive in their behavior. Okay? Then, and it's proven. So any child, if they go to a psychiatrist or a psychological help, they always first ask their diet, what the child is having, what the child is eating, just to modify the diet so that it comes back to normal. Okay? Then
When child is not drinking milk, that's time take with curd. That is okay.
the they're not drinking milk, try some other alternatives where you can get the same quantity of fat and the vitamin and the minerals which is present in the milk. Find some other alternative you can give. Yeah.
Curd also.
Curd also, but curd has a different effect than the milk.
That is not.
You try to give it in some other way.
Yeah.
Mixing it in something else. You can prepare some halwa or something and give. Okay. Then children who do not eat a variety of food could be missing out on some vital essential nutrients that are needed for the developmental period of their life. It's life, L-I-F-E. Then proper intake of nutrients also contribute to excellent growth, clever minds, physical fitness, great overall health, which will take them to the adulthood. See, whatever we practice, the children also go to practice the same. Yeah. Some quantity of junk food, yeah, it's permissible, but not always. So even as a role model, you should follow that, and then the child is going to imitate the same. Yeah. Then it is seen that high numbers of children are failing to grow at the correct rate and have problems at school or face many medical problems, including becoming overweight, developing weak bones, and developing diabetes. Nowadays, children with obesity and diabetes, the incidences are more. It's because of this. Okay, improper nutrition and maybe familial disposition, I mean genetic link also. So it again depends. So what we can do is, whatever possible, because these are all the correctable ones, which can be modified. Okay, which is there in our hands, we can do it. So that's why you need to have a proper knowledge of this, and then give the best what you can give to the child. Then best nutrition advice to keep children healthy: eat a variety of food. As you know, one food cannot satisfy all the needs of a child. So you give them variety of foods in a balanced diet. Balance the food consumed with physical activity. Not only eating, it has to be balanced with physical activity also. Let it be play, let it be the proper planned exercise, yoga, anything. Okay, whatever is consuming, it has to be burnt out also. Yeah, walking, anything they can do. Then choose a diet with plenty of grain products, vegetables and fruits. Whenever you are choosing a diet, it should have all these: grains, vegetables and fruits. Then choose a diet low in fat, saturated fat and cholesterol. It should be very low in fat content, saturated fat. Usually saturated fat is not good for health. It causes that atheroma. It blocks the vessels. It gets deposited in the blood vessels. And cholesterol. And choose a diet moderate in sugars and salt. Should not consume more sugar and more salt also. Yeah. Then choose a diet that provides enough calcium and iron to meet the growing body's requirement. Foster children's knowledge of nutrition by offering nutrition education as part of a comprehensive health education program. So, as a preschool teacher, always add this into your curriculum. Always you can have maybe one session or one day or in a week where you have this healthy diet day. Okay, you're going to give them a list of food, what all they're going to eat on that day, and even when they are bringing their lunch box also, they have to bring that food. So you can, from this early age onwards, if you incorporate this, the child is going to follow the same even when it goes to its adulthood. Okay, that's one you can impart. Then provide materials or for parents about nutrition, about talking to their children about nutrition. So what you can give is, maybe prepare a worksheet or something and give them that worksheet, an informative one, like what all foods has to be given, what all foods should be banned, what all can be given sparingly. So you can prepare a worksheet on that and set a good example by eating healthfully. So you are telling the child, but in the staff room, you're eating all those chanas, roasted things, chips and all those things, if you're eating in front of the child, and madam is only eating, then why shouldn't I eat? Yeah? No bonda bhajis, nothing? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, food recommendations. Toddlers and preschoolers grow at a slower rate than the infants. and they need enough energy or calories to fuel their active play and their various stages of growth, but they do not need adult size portions. So whatever you frame, whatever you will tell, my child is not eating at all, not eating at all. Yeah? For a child, usually what they say, the tummy is just the size of this fist. For any person, whatever is the size of your fist, the tummy will almost be of the same size. So you can imagine how much the child can eat. So don't make the child overeat. So I've seen mothers very curious, very anxious that my child is not eating. They'll bring in this big bowl, they'll bring rice, dal, sabzi and curd rice. The child has to complete it. What he's going to do, he's going to just puke out everything. Yeah, because that's the upper limit. It's gone. So you shouldn't overfeed the child. Okay. Then large portions can overwhelm their small appetites and are too big for their small stomachs. Servings for these children should be quarter to a third size of an adult portion. Whatever you have, quarter size of it can be given to a child. Please don't overfeed. For that much is more than enough for a child. Okay. Then children do not need as much food as an adult to ensure good nutrition and allow them to grow up, eat healthy. Eat a large variety of foods. If he cannot eat it at once, give him a break. Okay, let him eat now. After an hour, give him again. If you want, for your satisfaction, if you want the child should complete that entire chart, whatever you have prepared, whatever food you have prepared, the child has to eat, give him a break and then give him little later. Okay? Ek hi baar mat thusna. Chalo. Then, preschool children need somewhere between 1000 to 1600 calories a day. This is the total energy requirement what a preschool child needs. So what all we can give? From the grain group, for a day, you can give 1 slice of bread or half cup of cooked rice or pasta, half cup of cooked cereal, 1 ounce of ready to eat cereal, or your child should eat at least 6 servings from this group. Anything 6 items. Yeah. Then vegetable group, servings include half cup of chopped or raw vegetables, 1 cup of raw leafy vegetables. No children will have leafy vegetables, that too. Then your child should eat at least 3 servings from this group. Vegetable, especially the green leafy vegetable. So you at least see to that you have it any 1 green leafy vegetable in your diet in a day. Why? I'll tell you later when I'll take up the vitamin chapter. Then fruit group, serving should include 1 piece of fruit or melon veg or 3/4 cup of 100% fruit juice or half cup of canned fruit or 1/4 cup of dried fruit, and your child should eat at least 2 servings from this group. Any 2. Don't have any 2. Then milk group should have at least 1 cup of milk or yogurt or 2 ounces of cheese. Your child should eat at least 2 servings from this group. Then meat group, servings include 2 or 3 ounces of cooked or lean meat or poultry or fish, half cup of cooked dry beans. Then you can substitute 2 tablespoons of peanut butter or 1 egg or 1 ounce of meat, and your child should eat at least 2 servings from this group. Okay, this is a balanced diet pyramid. Okay, so they have given this. The one which is there down, they have to eat at least 6 to 11 servings. That's the major portion which gives that carbohydrate, fat, protein, all those stuff will be there in that. Okay, so at least 6 to 11 servings from any of this food they can choose from. So vegetable group, all these around 3 to 5 servings. Fruit group, that's why whenever we prepare even sabzi or bhaji, we use a lot of vegetables, right? So fruit group, so at least 2 or 4 from this servings. Then milk, yogurt or cheese, any of these. Ice creams they enjoy, so you can give them. See if it doesn't pinch your pocket. Then meat, poultry, fish, dry beans, eggs and nuts, these 2 to 3 servings. Fat, oils and sweets can be given, but not much. If the child is hyperactive already, if he is an hyperactive child, don't give much of sweets. Yeah, sweets, chocolates to be avoided, because that gives that extra energy. It boosts up their energy. Okay. So now this is the school meal program. School meal program is an important one where the government are spending lots and lots of crores and crores of rupees on this school meal program, but it is still not been extended to this preschool level. But you have this Annabhagya scheme and all, where it goes to the primary schools, so they get that midday meal program. Yeah, so that how they have framed that is keeping the nutrition in the mind. So they have framed that, but I don't know how far it's helpful. So many children, they won't get that, but wherever this Akshaya Patra is there of ISKCON, they give very good nutritious food. They give very good food. Okay. Then the school meal program is an important component of policies to aim, and with this even the attendance has improved. The child comes to the school at least to have food, so the attendance is full. Yeah, so they have seen that the children are attending the schools more, and even the dropouts have become less after they introduce the school meal program. But this has still not been extended to the preschool level, but in some Anganwadis they get. Okay, they get food. And this again, it's almost the same, and I'm going to repeat it. Now, teaching good habits of eating and cleaning. So what you are going to do? You can always have a role play, a storytelling session, create rhymes on healthy eating habits. Yeah, what all you can do? Should be able to answer me better now. What all you can do? Some placards, flashcards, use that. Yeah, and you can have one session, as I told you, maybe in a month or a weekly once. Any number of times you have, it's not going to give you any light, it's not going to be a loss. It will always help benefit the child. Yeah, scrapbook activity. So you can introduce it in, you can give them an awareness in lots of different ways. Yeah, so model healthy eating habits. Let preschoolers take an active role in their nutrition. Okay, you ask him to choose, give him one chart of food, you ask him to choose what all he likes in this, ask him to bring it the next day and have it. So whatever you are going to give him an option, that should be a healthy food. Clear? Then have a wide variety of nutritious fruits and vegetables available. Limit fast food intake and follow the food guide pyramid for young children. So you can always display that in your classroom also. Yeah? What all he can have, what all he cannot have. You have lots and lots of pyramids which is available in the Google search also. You can use any one of them. That's it. Thank you. So this is about the balanced nutrition. Any doubts? No? Okay. We'll go to the next chapter. I'll just take 15-20 minutes, that's it, not more than that. Only one, that too half-heartedly. Yeah, nice. How many of you are going to follow yourself first of all? Yeah. Yeah, this is the next chapter. This is the last chapter, which is a little bit elaborated. So after that you have all small chapters in my subject. So what is this? Vitamins. We've just had an idea what are vitamins. In this chapter we're going to discuss in detail about all these vitamins. Okay. So what are these basically? These are a class of organic compounds categorized as essential nutrients required by the body. Okay, and they fall in the category of micronutrients. As I told you, these are required in very small quantity, but if it is not provided to the body even in the small quantity, it can cause lots and lots of problems. Yeah. Then vitamins do not yield energy but enable the body to use the other nutrients. They do not provide energy like your carbohydrates or your fats, but they boost up them. Okay? Like, and it is not synthesized by the body, and hence it has to be provided by the food, whatever we consume. Like for some of the fats, proteins, it can be synthesized in the body also. Yeah, but these vitamins cannot be synthesized in the body. It has to be given from the outside source. That means you have to consume it. Yeah, then vitamins are entirely available from plant and plant foods. Almost all the vitamins. Now coming to the classification, vitamins are broadly classified into two. One is the fat soluble vitamin and the other is water soluble vitamin. Okay, fat soluble vitamins, as we have just discussed, are the A, D, E and K. This gets dissolved in the fat and it is stored in it is present in the body. It can be utilized even at a later stage also. It will be present in that fat. So whenever it is required, the brain sends a signal that I need this vitamin, it sends it. I mean the fat will dispose it. Okay, but that's not the case in the water soluble vitamin. Water soluble vitamin are not stored anywhere in the body. So whatever you consume for that day, it has been passed in the urine in the same day. Okay, so that's why green leafy vegetables which are rich in water soluble vitamins has to be consumed. These are all the vitamin B complex and vitamin C. Okay, vitamin B complex, vitamin C is nowhere stored in the body, so you have to consume it every day. Yeah, vitamin B complex, why it is called as a vitamin B complex? Because you have lots of different other subcategories of vitamins in this, which is B1, B2, B3, B1 till B12. Okay, and vitamin C, as you all know, it is a very good rich antioxidant and it boosts up the immunity of a person. So that's why you should always have food rich in vitamin C. Even though a person is suffering from cold, then also he can have this vitamin C. They say it causes cold, again it will increase your cold. It's nothing like that, because it boosts your immunity. You can always have the vitamin C. Nimbu ya amla or even the orange you can eat. Yeah? Yes, you can have, no problems. Okay, and these fat soluble vitamins are stored in the liver and they are not excreted in the urine, but the water soluble vitamins are not stored anywhere. It is excreted in the urine in the same day. Hence you are going to consume it every day. Okay, now we'll discuss in detail about these fat soluble vitamins today. The first one is the vitamin A. Okay, vitamin A, as you all know, it's very much essential for the normal vision. That's the first and the foremost function of vitamin A. Okay, and this especially helps in the production of the retinal pigments. We have discussed this even in the eye chapter also. Yeah, this retinal pigments, which are the rods and cones, help in the vision in dim light. Okay, if vitamin A is not supplied properly, what happens? These retinal pigments are not produced. That's how the first symptom is the night blindness or color blindness. Yeah. Okay, and what other function of vitamin A is? This helps in maintaining the integrity of epithelial tissue, such as the epithelial layer of the skin, respiratory mucosa, esophagus, genitourinary tract and eyes. Apart from this, this helps in the maintaining the integrity of the skin, integrity of the mucosa. Okay, if the vitamin A is not produced in sufficient quantity, so what happens? There will be a breakage in the internal mucosa, in the internal linings, even in the inside the body also, even in the skin also, you have the dryness and all. Okay, and the skin becomes dry, rough and scaly. It can even peel. Okay, then this accelerates the normal formation of bones and teeth, along with the vitamin D and along with the calcium it is. So this enhances the bone and teeth formation. Then it is anti-infective in nature. What do they say is, This is seen to decrease the susceptibility to infection and lowered immune response in vitamin A deficiency. They say that this also acts as an anti-infective agent because this boosts up the immunity. In case if the vitamin A is less, they are more prone to infections. Yeah. Okay. So coming to the sources, animal source like liver, eggs, butter, cheese, whole milk, fish and meat. Fish liver oil are the richest natural source of retinol, and apart from that, green leafy vegetables, plant food, spinach, amaranth and yellow fruits and vegetables like papaya, mango, pumpkin and some roots like carrots and sweet potatoes are rich in vitamin A. If the person is a vegetarian, so apart from this is the whole milk, butter and cheese, he has to go with this plant sources, and any vegetable which is yellowish in color are rich in vitamin A. It's a sort of an green leafy vegetable. Then deficiency. So what are the deficiency symptoms? As I told you in the malnutrition, so it shows the deficiency when the nutrient which is not been supplied at all, where there is a relative or an absolute deficiency. So what happens? Initially all the signs are predominantly ocular, matlab related to the eyes. So first and the foremost sign is night blindness because the retinol pigment is not produced. Then it leads to conjunctival xerosis. So these are all the, in case if you are not remembering this, no problem, you can just write night blindness, which can lead to total blindness. You can write that. In case if you remember, you can write this. Conjunctival xerosis, here the conjunctiva, as I told you, the white portion, it becomes dry, non-wettable, and instead of looking smooth and shiny, it appears muddy and wrinkled. There will be wrinkles in this conjunctiva. It becomes muddy. Usually you have this lubricant, right? Yeah, it's watery. So it becomes dry in case of vitamin A deficiency. Then you have something called as Bitot spot. These are the triangular spots, pearly white spots just next to the cornea. If you observe a child or a person with vitamin A deficiency, if it has gone to this stage, you will have small triangular spots, which is glossy, like a translucent in nature. Okay, just next to the cornea, this black portion. So that is also because of this vitamin A deficiency. Even if you see this in this condition also, it can be reverted back if he is given with vitamin A supplements. Okay, until unless if there is this one, this is the final stage where it goes to corneal xerosis, where the cornea becomes keratinized. That means it becomes dry, dull, non-wettable and eventually opaque. He cannot see. It becomes opaque. So if it is how your eyes cornea looks, it looks translucent, right? You can see it. You can't see what is there back, but you can see something. But in case of a blind person, if you see their cornea, it is totally opaque. Have you seen? Have you seen? Have you observed any time? No? The color also might be changed. Yellow, red, white. Yeah? Color also changes and it is opaque. You can't see anything. But here, when you observe, you can see that small hair-like structures. Yeah? Okay, that is corneal xerosis, which is total blindness. If it goes to this stage, you can't do anything. Even with vitamin A, it cannot be reverted back. Okay. Then apart from these ocular symptoms, extraocular manifestations of vitamin A deficiency include follicular hyperkeratosis. These are all the medical terms. Please don't blame me. Follicular hyperkeratosis matlab, you can write dryness of skin. Simple language, dryness of skin. Then anorexia. Anorexia matlab not feeling like eating anything. You have that uneasiness. You don't have the taste. You don't feel like eating. Then growth retardation. Okay. So what is the recommended dietary intake? For ages 1 to 3, 300 milligram per day is compulsory. For ages 4 to 8, 400 milligram per day. And for ages 9 to 13, 600 milligram per day of vitamin A is compulsory. Because it has to be eaten from outside sources. Got it? Yeah? Okay. Next. Vitamin D. This is again one of the major vitamin which is very much required for the normal bone teeth formation. Yeah? Okay. So what is this vitamin D? Vitamin D in man are the calciferol and cholecalciferol, which is vitamin D2 and vitamin D3. It is seen in these two forms, and this is a steroid hormone largely stored in the liver. And vitamin D, as you all know, the major source is what? Sunlight. So usually the deficiency is not seen much because they always get exposed to the sun. Some cases where the sun doesn't appear for maybe months together, you have some climatic conditions like that also. Yeah. So those, they are more vulnerable to vitamin D deficiency. Yeah. So what are the functions of this? This promotes the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus. How does this help in bone formation? This is how it helps. It promotes the intestinal absorption of calcium and phosphorus. Calcium is the mineral which is required for the bone development, bone and teeth. Yeah. If the calcium is not there, you don't have that bone formation at all. Calcium and phosphorus. Calcium is required for the bone formation. Phosphorus is required for the bone to get it back to its shape. Okay. The extra deposition of calcium is taken out by this phosphorus. So both helps in the bone mineralization. Clear? Calcium as well as phosphorus. Then it stimulates the normal mineralization and enhances bone resorption. This is called as bone resorption. Okay, resorption in the sense that during the growth process, what happens, that extra bone, for example, if this is the bone, during the formation stage, what happens, there could be some extra deposits of bone here in the periosteal region. So this is been taken out. This should not be there, right? For the normal growth, this should not be there. This has been taken care by the phosphorus. What this phosphorus does is, it comes here and clears this, and it makes the bone a smooth surface again. It goes and eats up the extra bone. It will not let that extra bone to get deposited. So this is called as the remodeling of the bone. Okay. Calcium will come and get deposited, it gets mineralized. Phosphorus will take out that extra mineralization which is not required. And then this affects the collagen maturation. So what do you mean by this collagen maturation? Collagen. Collagen is present in almost all the joints. Okay. The collagen is very much required to give that extra tensile strength, and this helps in the maturation of that collagen network. You have this yellow collagen, white collagen, you have heard cartilages, what we call, okay, that one. Then it increases the excretion of phosphate necessary for the development of bones and normal growth of the body. So these are all the major functions of vitamin D. So coming to the sources, sunlight is a rich and the natural source of vitamin D. Apart from that, food sources like liver, egg yolk, butter, cheese and fish liver oil. Then fortified foods like milk, margarine, vanaspati and infant foods. All are rich in vitamin D. Then when it comes to deficiency, vitamin D deficiency in children, it leads to rickets. Okay. So rickets, have you seen any child with rickets? Yeah. So what happens? Usually they have this bow knees. They have bow knees and bow elbows like this. So why it happens just in the end of the bone is because the end of the bone is the where the bone grows. In rickets what happens? The calcium deposition will be altered because the vitamin D is not available for the calcium absorption. So the end of the bone becomes soft. Okay, the end of the bone becomes soft. When it comes to the weight bearing, what happens? Since it's weight bearing, the knee will not be able to take up that weight, the knee joints. Okay, so that's why it bows. So that is bow.
Even the head is also not.
Yeah, head, what happens? The fontanelles will not get closed, so it becomes little bigger. Skull bones become bigger. So they have lots of problems. The bone become very brittle also. So usually the first symptom is this bow legs. because the end becomes soft, end of the bones become soft. Infant foods, like you have that bottle foods and all, no? The canned foods. Some people they give, no, that Cerelac and all. In adults, vitamin D deficiency may lead to osteomalacia. Malacia, anything you can call. Osteomalacia matlab, osteo matlab bone, malacia matlab softening. It's almost the same. So here, when it comes to the adults, here the bone formation is already done. In children, it is a growing bones, right? So it is cartilaginous in nature, that's why it bows down. It cannot take up that weight. But when it is in an adult, where the bone has already grown, here the bone becomes soft and they are more prone to fractures. Even a small fall, they'll have fracture. Just a fall, they have just fallen like this, they've just stretched their hand, they'll have a Colles fracture here. Okay? Just a fall in the bathroom, they'll have a hip fracture. It's because of osteoporosis as well as osteomalacia. Yeah? And it is also seen mainly in the pregnancy and lactation. That's why during pregnancy and lactation, they ask you to consume more of milk and with the food rich in vitamin D, as well as they ask you to go for a walk. The walk is as well as for the baby's health and even for the sunlight. Yeah? Okay. Daily requirement, adults 2.5 microgram, that is 100 IU. IU is international units. Then infants and children 5 micrograms, 200 IU. Then pregnancy and lactation 10 microgram, 400 IU. So this is about the vitamin A and vitamin D. Next is the vitamin E. Okay. Vitamin E is an antioxidant which protects the cell from damaging free radicals that can lead to cancers and heart disease. Yeah. So this is an antioxidant and this protects the cell from this damaging free radicals. Usually the cause for the cancer is still not known, but they have seen that the incidences of free radicals are more in cancerous cells. These free radicals are released due to many reasons, yeah, or exposure to the radiation, and lots of exact causes basically not known why there is hyperactivity of these cells. Okay, so what happens, these free radicals are more prone to lead to cancer and heart disease. So vitamin E actually will suppress these free radicals. Okay, and sources of this vitamin E, it is widely distributed in foods. Richest source is the vegetable oil, cottonseed oil, sunflower seed, egg yolk, butter, almonds, and seen in meat, liver, fish, chicken, oatmeal. So deficiency, if there is a deficiency of vitamin E, it leads to increased susceptibility of erythrocytes to hemolysis. Erythrocytes matlab RBC, that is a red blood cell, which is very much important for the normal oxygen transport in the body. Okay, so if there is vitamin E deficiency, these cells get hemolyzed. Matlab RBCs start breaking up. Okay, and this can lead to anemia, edema. Edema means swelling. Then skin changes are observed in infants when they are fed with unsaturated oils. So vitamin E is basically seen in all these oils. So usually there is no deficiency as such which has been seen. So very less population, if they are not at all consuming this oil, so in those population they have seen this vitamin E deficiency. And this oil also, that's why they say that you should not use the oils which is reheated for lot many times, because that has the capacity to release that free radicals, okay, which can be cancerous in nature. Even when you are using at home also, don't reuse the oil, the same which if you are using it for frying something, don't reuse it for more than 5 to 6 times. Okay, so once or twice, that's it, but not more than that. Then daily requirement, ages 1 to 3, 6 milligram per day, ages 4 to 8, 7 milligram per day, ages 9 to 13, 11 milligrams per day. Lastly, vitamin K, So vitamin K, as the name suggests, it's a coagulation vitamin. Coagulation vitamin matlab, as you all know, you have this coagulation mechanism in your body, right? Whenever there's a small cut, it bleeds for some few minutes and then it stops. That's because of the coagulation, that is a clotting process which has taken place in the body. And this vitamin K, it helps in releasing some of these coagulation factors. Okay, so that's why they say vitamin K is very much essential to keep this coagulation process intact. And this is found mainly in the fresh green vegetables, some fruits and cow milk. So deficiency, vitamin K deficiency, the prothrombin content of the blood is markedly decreased and the blood clotting time is prolonged. This is also not seen very much, the deficiency part especially. It's usually seen in people genetically who are predisposed to this. Genetically who have this bleeding disorders and clotting disorders. Okay, for them they gave this vitamin K to increase the prothrombin content. Yeah.
And for people who are suffering from sugar problem, they are also having some
Vitamin.
They get got the blood vessels stopped.
No, that is because of some other reason. It stops, but in this what happens, because the it's the layer of the cells and all. Okay, so usually it takes a little longer time. It's not much. It takes a little longer time for them. It's not even the bleeding to stop. It takes a longer time for them to heal, not the bleeding to stop. It usually, it may be some variation would be there, but not specifically because of this vitamin K or something. In diabetic patient, it so happens because of the extra amount of glucose which is present in them. It is more likely to get attracted to with the infectious organisms, okay, which causes infections. It's just like a sugar candy, like the ants just come in, you know. It's just like that extra amount of glucose which is attracting the infection. Okay, so vitamin K is usually given in bleeding disorders. So if there is a bleeding disorder, if the bleeding is not at all stopping because of some genetic or some other factors, hereditary factors, they give this vitamin K supplement. They have that vitamin K injections.
Disease is also there, like for the blood
Thalassemia, there are lots and lots of diseases like that. These are all hereditary predispositions. So genetically it's there and it's not curable. So they have to go for transfusions every now and then. Okay, so this is about the vitamin, fat soluble vitamins, which is A, D, E and K. Next class we are going to check out with the water soluble vitamins, which is the vitamin B complex. Any doubts? No?
Vitamin K,
Hmm.
is cow's milk.
Hmm.
What another? And in cow's milk, fats is no,